I'm not a very good chef. He's a much better chef, and he has much better skills. So tonight maybe focusing on his skills rather than mine. But definitely I can share some of my cooking. Probably you have seen it in some restaurants, especially the dim sum places. So this is a simple version. So it may not be as good as in the restaurant, but it's easier to make.
What the food we're making tonight is primarily from the south, more a little bit Cantonese flavor. So tends a little bit sweeter and a little bit more fresh anyway. So we have 3 dishes we're making for sure. We're making a sticky rice with some preserved meat and vegetables and all that. We're doing a quick stir fry, and it can be vegetarian. We're just going to do the chicken separately. So if you do want to keep it separate, that's fine too. What was the third dish we're making?
It's not really a dish. It's not really a dish. It's a dessert.
Actually,
I'm already baking it, but later on I will make another batch together with you. Okay. Because it takes time for the baking. So I pre-bake. I pre-bake it right now, so the other family can have it sooner.
Okay. Okay, so without further ado, so let's start a couple of things first. So we're gonna get the chicken marinated. So beforehand, we are going to clean up just a little bit. Okay, so I have in our home here 2 separate cutting board. One is for the meat, and we also have one for the vegetables. So keep that separated. The knives, all that too. So anyway, we'll go as we go along anyway. So so let's get the meat going. So it's just chicken breast I already butterfly out already, and you can get that frozen. This just came out of the freezer, so it's been melted, and yeah, pretty much straightforward. So yeah, I'll just start. So the key to most Cantonese cooking is that it's something called fast fry. So everything has to be cut and pre-cut, so that it cooks quickly and to preserve the freshness and all that. So notice that they're all bite size. They're all bite size.
So as we're watching, can I bug you with questions?
Sure, please do.
So you said that this is primarily from the south side, right? Cantonese cuisine?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit in general in Cantonese cuisine, like what do people eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Okay, so one of the dishes that we're making is the sticky rice. You find it at a dim sum restaurant. So one of the big thing with dim sum, if you're not familiar with it, is literally means touch of your heart. So it's a touch of your heart's desire. So usually when you go to a dim sum restaurants, the food is very fresh. The small portions are meant to be entice you to try new flavoring and all that. So what you will find with that is that literally the people will push around cart and they'll call out, or you just go up to them and ask, hey, what's in there? What's underneath the basket? And then you just pick the ones you like. And that's dim sum. That's one of the, I find it's probably I guess it's one of the most fun and adventurous thing to do is sometimes you would end up trying things you don't, that you never tried before. Even for me, when I visit places that has dim sum, sometimes the dishes are so different what I've had that surprises me.
Yeah, I can imagine with such a big, vast country and huge population, there's probably quite a bit of variety and things you might not have tasted in your life still.
Yeah, that's definitely sure. For lunch, again, the freshness comes in. It's usually some sort of rice noodles, and you can get fried rice and all that stuff. The dinner can be a little bit more elaborate and can be regardless how you regardless what kind of carb or vegetables, whatever it is, if the key is freshness and freshness and umami. I guess that's a word, that's a keyword everybody's talking about nowadays, is getting that umami flavor. And yeah, so what we're trying to do with the meat is that that's probably a little bit too much there. We'll see. So we got to get the marinade going here. So here we are. So a number of things to get the marinade going. So you go ahead.
We'll have some salads.
Salt, okay.
Sugar.
No, it's right here. Yeah, that don't need to be from here. Just small.
Oh, this is small. Okay. So a little bit of sugar.
Okay, you're marinating it with some salt and sugar.
Yep, salt, sugar, some white pepper. You don't necessarily go with the black on this one. Preferably fresh ground white pepper. So we need the sugar to bring out the sweetness of it, of the meat.
And also some soy sauce. This is a light soy sauce.
Okay, light soy sauce.
A little bit, not too much. And
So I like to have a little bit of oil in there.
this can also have, this is the kind of a chicken powder.
Just a little flavor enhancer, and a little bit of, you need a little bit of oil. You can use olive oil if you want. I find that if you add a little bit of sesame oil in there, it brings out the flavor even more. So just a little bit, just a few drops, not that much. That's pretty much it, just to get it going. This is chicken breast. So what that also means is that the meat can be dry. And so I usually add a little bit of baking powder or something like that. Cornstarch.
Or
Cornstarch. Okay.
Cornstarch. So a little bit of the cornstarch goes a long way here. It's just it smoothed out the meat, so you won't have the hard, the graininess of it. That's all. When you're cooking it. So anyway, so this goes into the fridge and marinate 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's all you need, and they're pretty small cut pieces, so they don't need to be marinated for very long. Okay. So we need another.
And I'll just do a quick reminder, June. There's several people who have been attending many of our events, but if there's anybody new, I just want to remind them that they can write their questions in the chat area, and I will just convey them on to you.
Sure. Okay, so since this is meat, we need to really clean this area up with some salt, and before we start with the vegetables. And I'm cheating a little bit here because some of the preserved meat is technically cooked already, so there's no chance of contamination. So we're not going to go with that. So we'll just use a vegetable one. Anyway. So we're going to start on the sticky rice one. So this one here is a mishmash of different types of ingredients. This is June's recipe. I'm just following what she asked me to do. So I don't usually cook this. Most of the Chinese food is done by June anyway. So we'll go start here. So a number of things. We're gonna need this fried shrimp. Sorry, dry shrimp, not fried. Dry shrimp. So you don't need them the really big ones. These are fairly inexpensive. You can buy them, and all they have to be done is rehydrate them. Okay.
I see. Do we need to buy them in a specialty Chinese store, June, or can we find it like in places like Superstore?
Yeah, you can buy it from TNT.
TNT.
Lucky 97, I believe.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
could probably, you may get lucky enough to get some of these, most of these ingredients, you'd probably get them at Superstore now.
I see. Nowadays, yeah, they have an international food section. They might have it.
Yeah,
And
so
how long do you leave them in water to like rehydrate?
Maybe half an hour.
Maybe half an hour. Okay, great.
I have soaked it since this afternoon.
I see. You have been soaking it since this afternoon. Okay.
The second ingredients is these dry scallop. This can be expensive depending on how big they are. And they come like that. And then you just, again, soak them and tear them up like this into shredded. Okay.
So if you get the smaller piece, kind of the broken pieces, that would be much cheaper. If you get
I see.
the whole ones or the bigger ones, they tend to be more, like much more expensive. So from here, I soak it since this afternoon as well. And I already tear them apart, except one, kind of just to show you, it's very easy, just break them apart. Kind of.
Oh yeah, it is easy to just shred them.
Yeah, so try to pull them as small as you can. So yeah.
Okay, so that one's there. So this is dry shiitake mushrooms. So you can get a bag of it and show where we buy that. That one you can get at Superstore too. So all it is that you soak this one. This one will require a lot longer to soak. And once you soak it, they come softened like that. Okay. Yeah, so something like that, and then we just cut them into small pieces. So I'll cut them up for you as we do this. Okay.
This is the smaller mushrooms. So this is the bigger one. Yeah. So
I see.
So again, the bigger one, the more it just costs a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah.
No, the thickness.
Yeah. And a couple of things. So we have just gonna pull up the packaging here. So this is cured pork. Cured, that's been cured. Very popular in Chinese cooking, and it's all it is, just cured pork. Okay, and then smoked too. So you can do all sorts of things with this one.
So I have a question. You said the mushrooms might need longer to soak. How much longer you think? Since the afternoon?
This one, I think, yeah, the afternoon. Again, it depends on how big they are. You can over soak them. There's not a worry there. So at least a couple of hours. If they're big, I tend to smoke to overnight, soak them overnight.
I see.
A couple of hours would do. What you're feeling for when they're done is that they're really soft and spongy. Okay. If you're feeling that they're a little bit hard in the middle there, they're not ready. Okay, so yeah, so it's a little judgment call, but about a couple of hours is probably all you need. Okay, and then sorry about that. So let's go back to this one. This is this is Chinese sausage. Chinese sausage is the lap cheng. It's very popular right now, actually, and some of the Western cooking is actually starting to use this. Can be really oily if you're not careful which one you buy. This one is not as oily, but some people do prefer it to be very, very oily. They're technically not cooked, so they need to be cooked. Okay. That's pretty much it. So we just cut them all this small sizes like this. So I'll cut them out and I'll show you all the knife work and all that. Okay.
So and almost like bacon bits, hey? I see them almost like bacon bits.
Are. They're very, very much so. So actually, one of the things about lap cheng is that the flavor is actually very unique in that sense that it has all the prerequisite Chinese spices and all that stuff, but it has a tinginess of sweetness in there, and very prevalent in southern China anyway, and yeah, the sweetness key Cantonese flavoring. So let's get started.
I want to go back to the dry scallop.
Okay.
I think the dry shrimps you can buy from TNT. They are the different sizes, maybe some bigger ones. But this one, I think mostly you would find it from kind of the dry seafood places. In Edmonton, there are quite a few places, and they also sell the Chinese medication. So they sell dry food, dry herbs,
Yeah, so you may not have the variety, but if you're going to some of the Chinese medicine shops and stuff like that, they do have that as well. It's kind of strange selling medicine that sells seafood, but anyway, it's one of the rare things.
I think the advantage of these dry food probably is they're very non-perishable. Hey, you can keep them in your pantry, and use them as recipes come up.
So yeah, so these lapchung is you can just store it room temperature. Once you open it, make sure you put them in the fridge. These same thing. So I think the meat is definitely need to be in the fridge for sure. They last a heck of a lot longer. So anyway, so let's get to this. So we're gonna cut them off into small sizes. So as you can tell, I do love my knives, and the key to all of the cooking is always about sharp knives. It's almost like counterintuitive, but it's technically you really want a sharp knife. If you don't have a sharp knife, it's going to slip, and when you're cutting, and you will cut yourself.
Yeah, I can see from your technique, you're pretty good.
Good with kind of hiding the fingers, right?
Yeah.
Behind the neck.
Well, believe me, I have plenty of cuts on my hand, so a lot of cuts actually. No matter how careful you are, it's still kitchen work can be dangerous. But
I think that's one commonality interculturally we will all have: cuts in the kitchen, whatever cuisine you're making.
Yeah, burns and cuts. That's pretty
Yes, for sure.
Okay. This one here this is all essentially it's just bacon. So you have all the different layer of meat, and there's meat here. This is the skin, so we do not want the skin. So this one is going to be a little bit tricky trying to take off because it's such an odd shape.
We can soften it by steaming it or boiling it or putting it into microwave if you want to soften it a little bit before cutting. Do you want to put it in the microwave?
No, I think good. Good. Just that having the right tool. This knife is doesn't have the same beefiness as this one. So this knife I'm holding right now is a chef's knife. So it's a good multi-purpose one. The one that I was using is the santuku. It's an Asian kind of chef's knife as well, but doesn't have its same beefiness. So when you're cutting into it, it can be a little bit hard. So you can see that there's an awful lot of ingredients here that we're playing with this one simple dish. Can you imagine if you go into a restaurant and they having to do all that as well?
The most time consuming is the cutting into the small pieces.
Together?
Sure. And then have you introduced the cilantro?
Nope, not yet. So we'll do that next. So one other really strange thing about this dish is that you need the fat. You cannot go and just go for all the lean meat. The fat is what gives the extra flavor.
Yeah, a little bit fat, sure.
Yeah, so It's almost like a Western cooking when it comes to bacon. You know how we love our bacon here. So I do love my bacon. So this is one of those dishes that require this kind of thing. So obviously meat is a big deal, but Southern meat in Southern Chinese cuisine tends to be more mainly pork. We love pork so much. We actually, when we say meat, we mean pork. We don't actually have anything else. Yeah, so
How
we
do you
don't
say
have.
it? How do you say it in Cantonese?
Yo.
Yo?
Or you want to, yeah. Yeah, so if you want to call it pork, you can say 猪肉, it's a pig meat. But if they don't specify, it means pork.
So it's
Anything-
synonymous, I see.
Yeah, so anything else you have to specify. Beef, 猪, and all that. So all the other ones you have to specify, but pork you do not.
So since we are the representing people from very, very different cultures, I have Millie online that says the small fatty sausage is parallel to glacial or pancetta in Italian carbonara.
Exactly.
So
Pancetta
that's
is
similar.
Yeah, pancetta is probably your best example of that. Guanciale is cheekbone. So this is definitely pork belly. So the
Pork belly,
other
I
one,
see.
guanciale is more like the jowl of the pork, I guess.
I see, the carcass,
Yeah. So the thing with Chinese cooking is that I'm learning myself right now as we go, and it's fairly new to me. You can see that let's see how soft and how little pieces are. That's all, and you want that soft and squishiness about it, but it's very spongy too at the end. So I'm not supposed to be doing this knife skill with this knife, but I was taught this way. So anyway, this is santuku. So it's supposed to be an up down like this kind of motion, but I also do the side, the rocking motion on this knife. Doesn't always work perfectly, but anyway, pretty close. So it's just different knife skills in Western cooking as opposed to the Chinese cooking. So a couple of things about mushrooms, reconstituted mushroom anyway. If you really want to, you can keep the stem, freeze them all over again, and use it for stock. Use it for stock. Same with the juices. You can do that for when you're cooking. You can use that, but just be careful. The very bottom of it, you can see that there are sand and grit and all that stuff in there. So we don't want to use that. So if you do want to add flavor back to the stir fry, whatever you're doing, or any of the pot. I guess the bowl date, and you can use that sauce. You can use the water. Just make sure you do not get to the bottom of it. It was very, very gritty. Okay.
By the way, I already washed them before I soak them. So, but of course you don't want that little pieces and they don't look good. Right?
Yeah.
But they are clean. I washed them before soaking them.
So a couple other things. So we are looking at the shrimp. The shrimp is pretty small already. You don't want to get too small of a shrimp. You lose a little bit of meatiness of of when you bite into it. But this one here, for our purpose anyway, we don't need to really chop it down fine. We just need to smaller pieces. That's all. We don't need to be dicing it or anything at all. We just break it into smaller pieces. So, yeah. Okay, so we're almost ready for June to get the rice going. So okay, so we're gonna one more thing here. So I already have the spring onion done already, so you can tell there. So the spring onion. Okay, I'm gonna get the cilantro going here. So you definitely need fresh cilantro. Okay, and they've already been washed. It's just You don't need to be really fancy with this. And just roughly chop it up as good. And the portions are here. I'm just going with what June tells me for the portion. Again, because I don't cook as much Chinese food, so I don't always get the right mix. But anyway, I'm assuming she knows what the right mix is. So
I want to say this sticky rice, it's doesn't really matter. If you like the sausage a lot, then you can put more. Or if you don't like the dry scallop, or you don't like the dry mushroom, you can use much less, or you don't get it. So it can be a mixture of these few items. But what makes it a really good flavor is the cilantro. But again, some people don't like cilantro that much, then you just put much less. If you like it a lot, you put lots. So doesn't really matter. This is about half a bunch from the supermarket. So this is the ingredients for the sticky rice. So now let's cook rice. Okay.
So June, I have someone asking if they can use fresh mushrooms and shrimp instead, rather than the dry one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess making any cuisine or making any rice, you can make with whatever ingredients. But for this typical dim sum sticky rice, they typically use this kind of ingredients. Of course,
okay. Yeah.
with something else and turn it into another kind of cuisine. No problem at all. I don't find.
So one of the things that I learned many years ago with the dry, especially the dry goods, with the lapchung and the cured meat and the scallop and this one here and the shrimp, is that once they dry it, it's actually the flavor. It's very intense on that one. Raw shrimp, raw fresh shrimp, and all that stuff doesn't have a lot of flavoring. And it's even a shrimp about this size started about 4 or 5 times this size when it gets down to this when it dried up. So you can tell how concentrated the flavoring is on this one. And and the lapchung, definitely a lot of flavoring that they put into the meat before they put it into the sausage. The cured meat has tons and tons of flavors. So you're gonna miss out on a lot of stuff if you do go with the fresh stuff. But again, you can go with the fresh mushroom too, but shiitake mushroom has a very intense taste as well. That is very important to this dish. So preferably you want to do it, stick with the ingredients that's in there. But again, if you are willing to play with it, yeah, more power to you. But this dish requires a lot of very original ingredients. Anyway. I'll clean up.
I haven't tried dried shrimp before, but definitely dried mushrooms. Like I had never tried them before coming to Canada. We don't have them in Turkey. I'm originally from there, but I love the dried mushrooms. And you're right, it's that condensed flavor. It's a very, very different flavor. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll let June take over. So I'm going to clean up because that's what I do.
Okay, so now we make rice, and so this dish is made with mostly sticky rice. But if you use 100% of sticky rice, it would be too sticky, like too filling. So the ratio is about 3:1, and so I'm planning to make 5.5 cups or 6 cups for tonight. So we can roughly calculate how many cups of sticky rice and mix with regular plain rice. So let's say I make 6 cups of rice. So then maybe I'll roughly it's okay. I mean the ratio so about 3:1. So let's go with maybe 1, 2.
So if you want to have a closer look at this, so this is sweet sticky rice. So it's very short grain and very different from our long grain rice. I'll show you what the long grain one looks like here.
4.
Okay.
So let's say 1.5. 4.5 with 1.5 of the plain
Okay, so
rice.
you want to do that? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is the long grain rice that we're used to. Okay, this is the long grain rice. And this is, the sticky rice can be called cow roast rice, or they have different names for it and all that. But anyway, that's the difference between the two. So you can see again what the difference is. Really, really short grain and really long grain. The thing with sticky rice is that it's you can actually get quite filling on those, as opposed to the long grain rice.
Camera went upside down.
Yeah, camera went upside down. Sorry, I was zooming in too much there.
Okay, so you finish that off.
It's upside down now, Farai.
Okay, just give me a second. Let me.
Oh, I see. You need to change the machine. I see.
It's the
The
camera went.
tripod. That happens. That's okay.
Okay.
There you go. Now we have. Oops! It turned again.
Hey,
Okay.
supposed to.
Okay. Now it's good.
Sorry about that.
The blend, somebody's asking the ratio. The ratio is 3 cups of sticky rice to about 1 cup of long grain, right, June?
Yes.
I'll write it down in here too.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. And then so altogether, there are 6 cups of rice here. It's quite a lot actually. 1 cup of rice equals to 2 bowls of cooked rice. So this is about 12 bowls of rice here. So for washing the rice, just lightly stir it. It's fine. You don't have to scrub. And then do it twice. Get rid of the kind of the powder. One time. So for cooking rice, it would be much easier if you have rice cooker. So I'm going to use my rice cooker. A special ratio for sticky rice is if you only cook plain rice, you can use exactly the same indication in your rice cooker. Like your rice cooker will have like how many cup of rice, and there are some indicators, some levels. So if you use 6, you just pour the water up to the 6. But for this recipe and for sticky rice, you need to use less water. So here I have 6 cups, right? So when I pour water, don't be up to 6. Otherwise, your rice will be too soggy. So right now I'm 5 and 6. Maybe about 5.5 cups of water. Okay, so you can see the line is 6 is here, but I don't reach 6. It's less than 6.
How much less?
5.5.
5.5.
5.5, something like that.
So in the
So
rice
the-
cooker, we're just using just a little bit less than the indicator. That's the ratio for 6 cups. Now, June, what if someone does not have a rice cooker? Can you cook this like on a stove in a pot too, or would the ratios change then?
The challenge is going to be if you are using on a stove, you're going to need to do something called what the heck is that called? That method is called it's not called a steaming method, but there's a term for it anyway. Usually the regular rice, if you're buying from regular rice, we're not talking about the Uncle Ben or any of those things there. We're just talking about raw rice, long grain. It's 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. Just think about that. So if you got 6 cups in here, so you're still looking at about 5.5 cups of water in this mix here. So yeah, so you can do that too. But the challenge is going to have to be when it starts boiling, when do you load the temperature to let the rice absorb all the water and all that stuff. So that's the challenging part. You can do it. There's tons of videos on there, and even Uncle Roger will show you how to make rice with using your finger. So yeah. Yeah, so if you
and someone is asking, I don't know, have you used Instant Pot? How about Instant Pot, they're saying?
Yeah, Instant Pot, there is a function is for rice as well. And I try to use this recipe of using Instant Pot. You even need less water because Instant Pot is sealed, right? Everything is sealed. So there's no steam coming out until the end. Until the very end, until you release it. So you need even less water if you use Instant Pot, maybe 5 cups for this quantity. So make sure when you plug it in, it's keep warm and make sure it has the rice cooked, because there are multiple times I forgot to press the button. So the rice is not cooked when everything else was ready.
That's actually tons of videos about that, kids forgetting to press the cook button, and the mom and dad come home and screaming at them because everything's ready but the rice. So I've done it many times, and June has done it a lot more than I have. So yeah, so it's definitely a challenge.
Like I mentioned earlier, this is a simpler version of the sticky rice. So we cook the rice separately, and then we stir fry, make the meat and the other ingredients fragrant, and then we add ingredients to the rice at the end to stir. Except this is very last moment. That's the cilantro and the green onions, the spring onions. That would be kind of just before you eat, you add that. Otherwise, it will turn not as green. They turn yellow. The flavor is still there, but it won't. The look is not as nice. So right now we're gonna to kind of make this fragrant by stir frying them first. So we have a pan, a wok or a pan.
While she's doing that, I'm just going to prep this area here for the next dish anyway. So
Yeah.
for I, if you want to come around and
So this.
come around for
This sausage, this Chinese sausage is very lean.
This way.
That's not, so this Chinese sausage is very lean, so there's not much fat in it. But the belly has some fat, but not as much. So when we heat up the pan, the wok, we can add a little bit of oil. But it is very fatty Chinese sausage, we tend not to add any. But this is very lean, so just a little bit.
So we are using just grapeseed oil here. So we're not looking to add a lot of flavor to this. So try not to use any of the olive oil or the peanut oil, anything like that. In this case here, we want the flavoring of these ingredients is to come out as opposed to adding more to it.
Mm-hmm. So once the pan is heated, it's hot enough. So and then we turn it down to like a medium level, so not to burn it, just to like lightly stir fry it to make the fragrance come out. then again, for the dry, the soup, the dry seafood, which are soaked, we get rid of the water.
If you don't do it, you're gonna have to wait longer to get all the water evaporated in order to get the flavor in.
There's no specific sequence, but I tend to add the sausage and the meat first to get rid of kind of make the oil comes out for the remaining ingredients. I washed my hands already. So all you need to do is stir fry it for maybe a couple minutes, and then once you smell the fragrance is coming out, then you can stop heating up, and then mix it well. So when the rice is done, all you need to do is pour this into the rice, and then keep stirring until everything is mixed. And then at the end, put the cilantro, put the soy sauce and the cilantro and the spring onion. This is quite a lot for 6 cups of rice. So for another type of Chinese dim sum item, probably you've tried it if you have been to a Chinese dim sum restaurant. That's a turnip cake. That's the same thing, basically the same ingredients, but that they use rice powder to turn it into a paste and then steam the whole thing, and then it becomes turnip cake. And then you pan fry the cake, and it's very tasty as well. Same ingredients. So I think this is almost done.
I missed one part. What kind of oil? You put a little bit of oil in that. What kind of oil you used?
Grapeseed. You can use canola. You can use any non-flavoring oil. So again, you don't want to use peanut oil. You do not want to use any of the sesame oil, anything like that. You just non-flavoring oil. So you want to keep the original flavor of these things here. Don't use even if you use olive oil, that's fine, but don't use extra virgin olive oil even. So it's, again, the less flavor, the better.
Exactly, I understand. You want to keep the flavors of everything you're putting in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
So this is done. So now we wait till the rice is cooked, and then we can mix it with the soy sauce.
Yeah, so all we did is just essentially, if you want to call it a Western style, it's just a quick saute, and just to get the flavor going and to get the flavor started. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to start with the vegetable now. So.
Maybe the vegetable stir fry a little later, otherwise it will get.
Okay. You want to start with the meat first, or you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can, pan fry.
I can actually start with the cutting of the vegetables, and you can actually see how that's going on. So what we have here is, I'm not even sure what these things are called. They're not really technically long bean. They look like snow peas, but you can tell that they look like snap peas, but they're long, really long. So I'm not sure what they're called. Essentially, so it's a fairly new ingredient for me. I've eaten it before, but I've never cooked it before. So yeah. Anyway, this requires a slightly different method of cooking. Then we have some bell peppers, red ones and yellow ones, some mushrooms. We're gonna get a little bit of tofu here. So this is the main vegetarian dish. We're gonna get the chicken going with that as well. Okay, so I'll show you how we cut all these things up. Okay. So just a quick wash. So all we're doing is just like the smokies, we're just cutting off the ends there. So instead of just cutting it and dicing it in pieces, what I try to do is add a little bit for appearance sake anyway. I'm trying to get diagonal cuts in there. So it looks a little different and looks a little nicer. So you don't notice that the cuts are all diagonal. So we're trying to keep in that theme there. And with, again, bite size. Got the mushrooms, pretty straightforward. Just get rid of the little portion here. You can cut it into here as well. You can save it for stock, doesn't matter. What I did with mushrooms is a little bit more Western style. I don't wash my mushrooms. I just use a paper towel, wipe them down, get rid of some of the stuff in there. These are fairly clean. So some people really want the white mushroom to be white, and they do wash them. So again, what I find is if you wash them is that they do take on water and it takes longer to stir fry them. And yeah, so they're not as, they tend to be overcooked and mushy, you know, if you have too much water in your stir fry. So again, everything's quick. Okay. So this is tofu. So tofu comes in quite a different varieties. So these are deep fried tofu. And yeah, they're the packaging you can see here. Okay. We bought this, I believe, at TNT, but I know they sell this at the superstore as well. The nice thing with these deep fried ones is that there is some flavoring in them already. Some of them do not have flavoring. So anyways, just either one, it doesn't really matter. But I find with these ones is that they add a little bit more of a 5-spice flavor at the end. But I think that's what's in there anyway. So, yeah. And again, they're not the soft one. They're actually pretty hard, so you can tell they're pretty hard pieces, and they're compressed, so not a lot of water in them. Okay. With these ones, I'm just going to cut them into.
While you're cutting them, I have one more question from Karen from our audience.
Yep.
She says the sticky rice she has seen in the restaurant is wrapped in a leaf.
Yeah.
Is that a Chinese thing? Is that just something for eating out or serves no purpose at home?
No, actually, lotus leaf wrap sticky rice. There's tons of different varieties. You can go from northern China all the way down to south. They're very, very common throughout all Chinese cuisine. The great about them is that you got to remember is that the dishes are meant peasant food, right? It's already pre-wrapped. You can take it out to the field when you're working, or you're you're fishing, your boat, and all that stuff. You can steam it quickly, or you can boil it. All those things are great for that. The lotus wrap actually adds flavor to that as well. So it's a very common thing. Our version is rice cooker version, so quicker. You don't need to lotus wrap it, but if you really want to lotus wrap it, then you have to skip that portion where you're cooking in a rice cooker. You just wrap everything all into whatever shape you like. Then you're going to need to boil it or steam it to get that same the same flavor and the same look to it.
I think that the kind that that lady tried is a different type.
Yeah, there's quite a different. Yeah, so there's quite a few different ones as well. So the lotus wrap ones, I find, again, we're looking at so many different things inside. You put chicken in there, you put lachon in there, you put all sorts of meat in there, and different regions have their own flavoring. I myself were Hakka. We use we're very poor people in mountainous area in southern China. We're technically Han people, but we are where we live was very harsh, and we eat a lot of sticky rice, and to keep us full, and all that. So our flavoring tends to be very strong, and lotus wrap as well. Again, you have to be out in the fields. You don't want to be, if you're working in the fields, you're working out somewhere, you don't want to be rushing back to eat or cook, right? You're actually out there. You actually do the work and cook out there and eat out there. So it has to be quick. Okay, and I guess that's the South American or even Mexican, they use what the heck do they call those, the corn husk to wrap them in. There's a name for it. I totally eludes me right now. But anyway, it's the same thing. Again, easy, portable, fast, flavorful, and keeps you full. Okay? So our version is slightly different. That's all. And you can do all sorts of different flavoring and all that stuff.
If you are eating it at the dim sum place, the lotus leaf wrap one, that the inside ingredients are different. They use fresh pork, maybe fatty pork, along with some other, maybe an egg yolk, the salty egg yolk, and maybe with chestnut. Some other ingredients. It's totally different ingredients than this sticky rice version.
It's like saying, you go into I don't know what's a there is so many ways of making one dish. If you're going to Italy and you go and you say, I want some spaghetti carbonara, there's a different area have different ingredients and even not. So, but the end result is still the same. You still need the sticky rice, or you still need the spaghetti and all that, right? So again, it's just, this is our recipe, and you can't get it in this flavor. Even myself, we're Hakka people, we use a very similar way. It comes in a bowl. It doesn't actually come in a lotus leaf, and our ingredients is slightly different yet. So, okay. So I'm almost done here. I think your rice is almost done, June.
Mm-hmm.
So one last thing.
So once the button is jumped to keep warm, we don't open it right away. We will let it kind of stay in there for another few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to make it fully cooked. So rice cooking should be about 15-20 minutes, but with the 10 minutes resting time, maybe about half an hour. So right after I finish cutting, because stir frying vegetables doesn't take long, then we can move on to the last dish. It's not really a dish, it's a dessert. It's a dessert that in Chinese we call it Japanese rice cake, but basically it's a sweet rice cake. So yeah, so Mike, are you
almost done here? So anyway, so I learned most of my cooking skills here in Canada. Went to school in high school. I learned this before I picked up a different trade, completely different. So I became an accountant. So this is something I learned. Okay, and I'm very picky when it comes to making. When I'm doing bell peppers, I need to get rid of devein the whole thing. So most people don't. anyway, so it's something that I something that I picked up anyway. But yeah, as far as cooking skills go, did anybody out there have any questions of what I'm doing here and how I'm doing this? No, I guess not. Okay.
I'm checking, just it's more of a comment from Millie, lower camera to show cutting. Thanks.
So again, just devein it. And I always like to devein my my bell peppers. I cannot stand the white part sticking out. So
which I can stand.
Yeah, so most people
I don't
okay.
want
I
to
just
waste.
can't stand. I can't. Yeah, it's one of those things that I cannot stand is that I need my pepper to be that color. It cannot have any white in there. So it's yeah, oldies. Totally ADD of me, but anyway. So that's the main ingredient. So here's what I did with this one. The one thing about stir fry is that it's fresh cooking. It has to be fast cooking, and you don't want to completely cook everything here, right? So color plays a very important part. So instead of just flavoring, so coloring. So we do go with different colors. We got green, yellow, red, white, and tofu flavor. I don't know what the heck that it's white and whatever the color is.
Brown,
Brown. Okay.
red brown.
Yeah. So we'll go with that, and then we're gonna go with a little bit of hoisin sauce, hoisin sweet sauce. Oh, yeah. So paste. Yeah. So you can do, but the basic is still the same, but the sauce you can just vary the heck out of it. You can do the protein. You can change it to shrimp, to beef. Well, not necessarily beef. Shrimp for sure. You can have fish in there as well. You can do all sorts of things in there too. But the basic ingredients is still the vegetables and tofu if you want to. But yeah, okay. Okay, so the you can probably just heard that the little switch popped up. So from the rice cooker, so it's almost ready. Okay, what are we doing now?
So
Let me
let
clean
me wash my hands again. And so we still have to stir fry the chicken. But then it doesn't take long.
So how are we doing for time? So I think we're gonna probably end up finishing pretty early here. I think you had it about 7 o'clock, whatever it was. So anyway,
Oh, we're doing well. It's just been an hour, so we're good.
Okay. Okay.
And what I want to show you actually, I pre-baked we call it Japanese rice stick. So it's kind of crunchy outside and chewy inside. So so this is pre-baked because bake it will take about 1 hour or a little more than 1 hour. I don't want Farai to wait for another hour to get this done. So this is pre-baked. So it's still warm. And this is half a batch, and I have another half a batch in the oven. So I just keep it warm so I can mix it with you. Then you can take the finished one home. So it's very easy to make. The main ingredients would be I need to get eggs from the fridge. Okay. And then milk too. So let's get a big bowl. So this is dessert, it's sweet. And why I'm showing you two kinds of coconut cream. Typically I use this one, and it's with kind of quite runny and with water. And I recently picked this up from Superstore this first time, and I didn't know it is so thick. There's not much water. I used this kind earlier for the other batch. That's why I added a little bit more milk because it's too thick, not much water. So this time I will use the one that I usually use. So again, the recipe is okay. I cannot do cracking the hands with one hand, so I'm not a good chef. So I have to use both of my hands. So 4 eggs. What's good about this ingredient, this recipe is you can have a little bit more of sugar, a little bit more of powder, or a little bit more of egg, or a little bit more milk. Doesn't matter, it still works. just the cake would be maybe a little soft or a little harder, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so we stir it. And then no specific sequence. You can add sugar. Sugar, the recipe says 1 cup, but myself, I don't like it too sweet. So I find I try a few times, it's 3/4 of a cup, and it's already very good. So depending how much sweetness that you like. If you want to stick with the recipe, it's 1 cup of sugar. If you don't like it too sweet, can be ½ cup. So I will use 3/4. Let's see. The one that I already pre-baked is 3/4. So yeah, 3/4 of sugar, and then 1 can of the coconut. Well, coconut milk, coconut cream, doesn't matter. But if it's too thick, you may want to add a little bit more milk. So you can see this is quite runny with lots of liquid. Can you get me the milk from the other side? Just pass it over to me. And then 1 cup. So kind of everything is 1, 1, 1, 1. So it's easy, very easy. 4 eggs, 1 cup of milk, 1 can of coconut milk.
So this is a 2%, so.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, if you have 1% or skim milk. So 1 cup. So and also 1 bag of.
How many grams?
It's 400 grams. Like I said, it can be a little bit more or a little less. So the hardness of the cake would be somewhat different, but the taste would still be the same. So it is glutinous rice flour. So again, that means the sticky rice powder. So from the same sticky rice.
The packaging is very close, so be careful which one you buy. So the rice
Yeah.
flour.
There is another kind is just plain rice flour or rice powder. The package is red, so don't use the wrong kind. The other day I made turnip cake and I used the wrong kind of powder, and it turns to very sticky. The taste is still good, but too sticky. Okay, then we keep stirring until it mixes very well, and then we will put it through the drainer to get rid of all the lumps.
You might have missed a question. Somebody was asking, do you use coconut cream or milk? I think that's the.
Well, the can says coconut. Well, supposedly coconut milk, but this one says coconut cream, but actually it's very runny. It's coconut milk, and versus this says coconut milk, but it's very, very thick, not much water, not much liquid inside. So, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Like I have another brand too. So I think what you need to know is maybe when you, this is the one that I use, right? So last time I used this one. This is also called coconut milk. This is called milk. And you can, this is, you can shake it, it's quite runny with liquid. This is called milk, but no movement inside. So, and then you can read the ingredients at the back. The so there are some more expensive ones, there are some cheaper ones. That all depends on how much kind of coconut, real coconut cream or milk is in there. And I find that this is okay with 60% saturated.
So regardless, anyway, I think at the end of the day, either one you use, it's about the look of the viscosity of how thick do you want this mix to be. So after she's mixing it, then you can see how runniness and how runny it is and how thick it is, and you can judge for yourself. It's again, this is a little bit more home cooked, so the recipe itself is adjusts to taste and changes as you go along. Don't be too be concerned about what exactly it is, because it just depends.
Yeah,
it depends if it's milk, or if it's too thick, you need to add more water, or you need more flour, or things like that. So you need to change on the go. So.
I see. So we can just judge it by the the runniness or the thickness of the final
Exactly.
product. Okay.
like I said, this recipe or this cake, you can have more powder, you can have more milk, more coconut cream, more sugar, less sugar, it still works. Yeah. So I can show you the final product, and then you know what I mean. Not unlike the regular like buns baking, right? It has to be very precise. And then exactly how many tablespoons or how many a teaspoon, but this is roughly, it's okay.
Yeah, it's very forgiving, and you can always experiment. So don't go with the big batches yet. Go with small batch, and then make a few times, and then you can decide which how much of a sponginess or how thick do you want the food and things like that. So.
Like when I open the can,
Mhm.
that's the packaging of the bag.
Oh, okay, that is not good. Okay.
No, this is the kind of paper or the wrapping. So you can see it's lumpy, right? Of course, you can keep stirring until it's no lumps. But then I usually roughly is okay. Then I'll use the
sieve.
the
Sieve.
yeah, the sieve. Yeah.
Sieve.
Sieve. Okay, sieve.
Sieve.
Sieve. Okay, let me get another.
Oh, the bigger one.
Yeah, bigger one. Lumpy. Okay, that's the other piece of packaging, but that's okay. It will go through the sieve. Okay, so see if I miss anything. No. Okay, four things all mixed together. So you can. So when you do this, so there will be no lumps. Everything good. So you can see it's very smooth if you use the sieve.
just do that all since the time
Let's heat up the oven at 350.
You're taking the stuff off.
Please take the stuff off. So I try to get every bit of it.
Okay.
So we can see the consistency. Like I said, it can be thicker, it can be runnier. Let's see what works for this cake, for this kind of cake. Maybe you can cut the fake one to show why it works that way. So put into the oven for like at the 350 degrees for about 1 hour. I could keep it a little longer because I forgot to turn off the oven, but it's okay. Inside is still soft.
So all you're doing is just pouring it into a baking pan, grease, and
Just the parchment paper.
Paper, okay, a wax paper. And June, the dessert, the inside is going to be a little soft, the outside is crunchy, you said, right?
Yeah, a little, yeah.
so I'll show you what I mean. Ooh.
Looks good.
Yeah. You can tell how crunchy that is. It's a little crumbly there. Okay. Probably using the wrong knife, but anyway, so you probably have that. So you can see just an equal piece of chewiness and crunchiness. A little crust on the bottom, crust on top. Okay.
Yeah, you can cut a piece for Ari to try.
So it's a little hot. Okay. I mean,
So this is 3/4 of a cup of sugar. So if you like it sweeter, then you can add a little bit more.
Yeah, that's one of my experiences. The desserts, normally, I think the Chinese people, they're not too sweet. They're actually very nice.
Yeah. We joke about that. We joke about that a little bit. On there, saying how too sweet. Western dessert, too sweet. European dessert, not bad. And then the Chinese dessert is just right.
Yes, yeah. Same for me. A lot of the cookies in my culture, what I call cookies that are supposed to be dessert in Canada, they're maybe scones. Scones are the right sugar combination for me.
So
You want
so
to
line.
continue with that step, or you want to just go on because it's already 6:20.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
not a lot of time now.
once you get to this point, what you need to do is to line your pan with parchment paper. So for the oven, you have to use parchment paper, not wax paper. So parchment paper, line it, and then pour it, and then into the thickness of about 3/4 of an inch. If you want it thicker, more softness in the center, you can make it thicker, like 1 inch. That means you have to cook a little longer, bake a little longer.
I see. And how many degrees you said? I missed that part, June.
350 degrees.
So
330?
350.
Oh, 350.
Yeah, 350.
So one of the things is that if you do a baking, and I guess everybody knows how to do this anyway, for how long is it supposed to be?
About 1 hour,
About
but
1 hour.
depending, because every household's oven is different. Maybe your oven can heat up.
This is your friend right here. This is your friend. So when it's done, you stick it in, pull it out. It's clean. If you pull it out and it's something to stick to it, it's still not cooked.
Okay,
That's all.
makes sense. So Millie, one of our participants, is asking, would Chinese bakeries like Shan Shan also have this sort of dessert?
No.
No, they won't. So they have to come and watch the video and make it themselves.
And it's very easy to make.
Yeah.
You can see basic ingredients. You just mix it. No sequence. Can be this a little more, that a little less. It still works. So it's magical.
Okay, you want to get this one?
Okay, so the rice is done. Resting time is good. So we can take a look. So you can see it is. You can see the stickiness, but it's not too wet. This is exactly what we want. We don't want it too soggy. You know what? Actually, I can even put a little less water, but I think this is okay because I still have to put in a little bit of soy sauce, right? But not too much. So maybe this is too small to stir everything in. Mike, can you get me a big bowl?
It's used.
A very big bowl.
I gave it to you.
Okay, that's okay. Then we will just. So that the idea is, if you have a big pot, you can pour the rice out and then add the ingredient, and then you have more room to mix it together.
I see. Yeah, but because you're making it, a multiple batch, that's a little too small for you to mix all the other ingredients, eh?
Oh, okay. So besides all these dry sausages and dry shrimps, dry scallops.
You took it out, didn't you?
Okay.
So you can tell right here, so this has been sauteed for a while. Notice how dry it is. It's actually very dry. Not a lot of water left in there. And that's what you want. So remember when we constituted all that mushroom and all that stuff, there's a lot of water components in there. So we're just taking that back out. So to concentrate the flavor even more.
Exactly. That looks great.
When you add the soy sauce, you add a little at a time. So if you are gonna eat it right away, then maybe you can add the cilantro and the green onion. But if you because another family will take it home, I don't want to mix it too early with the cilantro, otherwise it turns yellow. So okay, let's see. This is too soft to stir. Here, Mike, I have it. I have it. I have it. Yeah, all you need to do is to mix it very well with a little bit, maybe do a little bit at a time.
You certainly don't want to pour it all together at once, especially that soy sauce. It's going to get concentrated. So you want to just a little bit at a time, just add it to it. You want to get the right color. So right now it's very white, but as you get to it, you want to get into a little bit more brownish, soya, a little darker looking. So.
June, somebody's asking, I think in the list that you may have sent us in the ingredients, there might have been also an egg. Was there? I didn't check.
The egg is only for garnish. Like kind of.
It's only for garnish. I see.
When you go to the dim sum restaurant, they put it into a bowl and then flip upside down, so it's a dome shape, and then put a little bit of the egg, the shredded egg, to make it look nice. It's yellow against all this brown color, right?
I see.
So maybe you can get that the egg with a very thin layer, and then cut it into strips. So then we can put it on top. So it makes it more look like what you can order from the restaurant. This is light soy sauce. Chinese cooking, we also sometimes use dark soy sauce. So what it means is if we want the color darker, but not too salty, we use dark soy sauce. And if you just want the saltiness and not too deep color, we use light soy sauce.
Not something new. I just learned that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we can keep mixing, and maybe once the vegetables are stir fried, then then the other family can have this food. So then I will mix in the cilantro.
So this is Chinese blender.
Yeah, with
You can
the
master the
chopsticks.
skill.
Yes. Chinese blender.
That looks very yummy, June.
I can keep stirring.
Okay,
you
so
can
I'm just
go
gonna go and get the vegetable going. I'm doing, so anyway, as June's mixing that up, I'm just going to, because of the time constraint here anyway, we're just trying to move this a little bit faster. June is just mixing it anyway, so I'm just going to quickly fry the, where's my veggies? Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly fry up the chicken. This will be very, very fast anyway. So this method is June's method. So I don't usually do this way, but anyway, it's I usually don't like too many pans. So I tend to use one pan for everything. But anyway, June doesn't like certain look into her stir fry, so she always makes me do this. So what we're looking for is a little bit of shimmering here. I don't know if you can see it. How's the lighting?
Now, the big question, I'm just realizing I wasn't paying attention before. The pans were on top of it already. You actually have a gas stove.
Yes.
That is such a
Love that.
privilege.
Is it? I love my gas stove. Instant heat. Instant heat. Anyway, so as we're doing that, I'm just going, as that thing is being fried anyway, we're getting some boiling water. We're going to blanch the beans up a little bit. I found that it's actually pretty thick and harder to cook. So that takes about 2, maybe 3 minutes to do. So this one here, when it's almost, we'll do that.
So Millie is asking for the rice, though she's asking, she couldn't see, are the mushrooms in there too? The mushrooms were in the rice mix, right? With the sausages and shrimp and everything.
Yeah, so when we sauteed everything, all the meat, pretty much all the ingredients except for
the greens, the
cilantro
cilantro and the spring onions, right? Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So those are the only two that we did not saute. But you want to saute so it's dry. That's the key. You want to get rid of as much water as possible. Again, to concentrate the flavor, right? Which is kind of like really strange. You add water to get everything all softened, and then you end up having to remove all the water all over again. So it's strange way of cooking, but anyway. So that's going. We're just going to go and blanch this quickly. I forgot one important thing. Always salt the water. So if you go into a Chinese restaurant, what you will find is that this process is actually done in a deep fryer. They very quickly deep fry it. For our purpose, we want to thick stir fry. Just get it brown. They're small enough that they don't take about 2 or 3 minutes to cook. So you know we're not looking at a lot of time. And these are chicken breasts. They're very easily cooked as well. So, yeah. So the key is to get them brown. So when we added the cornstarch to it, what we did is that we dried it up a lot. Soaked up a lot of the water so that it browns much faster. But you can see that some of the pieces are still raw here. So, but you don't want to overcook this either. This will be added back to the vegetable a little later on here. Okay.
Serious panhandling skills too. Now you're showing off.
Oh, okay.
Just joking, yes.
That's all right. So this is done. So we're gonna get it right off the heat. Okay, we're gonna get started on this one. And this one they can go full tilt because that was a non-stick. I usually go about medium high. But once you get into this wok, this is a steel carbon wok, so you can go pretty high heat on this one.
And again, basic non-flavor type of oil.
Yeah. Again, we forgot a couple of flavors. Do we have any of those garlic? Okay, so the oil is heating up. You can see it's smoking pretty hard. Just going to switch over to a Chinese spatula.
Watch out, there's some tofu left on the ground there. Behind you.
Tofu? Okay, we'll just go with that.
So we're starting with the pepper.
Yep, so we're starting with the pepper here. So this one here, you need, with the classic stir fry, you want this to get started because it's fairly raw. The mushroom takes no time to cook. The tofu is already cooked. It just needs to be warmed up. Okay. Are we doing this? This is really good. Yeah. Wait, I'll mix it off. Don't worry about that. I'll mix it off. So this one is the next one. Can you get the hoisin sauce out and the maybe the sweet sauce?
Brad says the beans looked similar to edamame beans, but they're just flat broad beans, right?
Very long, very, very long beans. So this is
Long bean, yeah.
So what we're looking for is something like this, something called wok. So if you have a gas range, this is one of the things you can do. But if you have an electric one, it's a little bit harder to try to get that color going. Okay. We're going to add the rest of the ingredients now. So notice it took almost no time at all to get going. Whoa. I usually about here, that's when I add some garlic. This is the pureed garlic that June made.
Okay,
Okay.
like a garlic paste.
Garlic. So yeah. So it depends on how much you like garlic anyway. So I always find it the Chinese cooking, a lot of people do like a lot of garlic in their food. So. We're gonna add a little bit right now, a little bit of salt and pepper. So that's about I want to say about a little bit less than one teaspoon of that. And I'm just going to go with a little black pepper, fresh, ground, preferably. So what we're looking for here is not a lot of flavoring here. We're just trying to get the vegetables and the tofu started. All that is not with that much, what I added in there. There's not a lot of flavor in there. So okay, so let me back up a bit. So this is important. So this is Chinese cooking wine. So if you don't have that, you can use white wine will do as well. So or sherry, doesn't really matter. So we're just heating this up again. So I'm gonna reduce the heat. And where's the chicken?
I don't want to add the chicken.
Oh, okay. This is the vegetarian dish. Okay. Okay. So
the chicken, the family can add by their own.
okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this down while I mix the sauce for this thing here. Okay. So the sauce is pretty straightforward. Did you get the hoisin, Jim?
Yes.
Where'd it go?
Here.
Hoisin sauce. And I need a couple things here.
So that sauce looks quite special. Is that again something from the TNT store or?
Well, don't mind the container, okay? Because the container has nothing to do with that. So.
Oh, I see.
I bought a big pan of hoisin sauce, so I just put it into.
No, it's definitely not basil pesto, okay? So it's just hoisin sauce is a mixture of it's just almost like a sweet sauce, and you can do all sorts of things with it. And what it does is it adds a freshness or something called unami in there. So we are looking at this argument here. So about that. But that's about, I want to say three or four teaspoons there. This is oyster sauce. It's very similar. That's about two teaspoons there. Okay. And what we're going to add to that is a little bit of cornstarch. That's about 2 teaspoons as well. Some salt. A little bit of salt. There's plenty of sugar in here. So it will be on the sweet side. Just an FYI there. So be on the sweet side. So we're going to add a little water, whole water. So this will also, this is what you're looking at here. This will also thicken the sauce for you. That's what you find most Cantonese cooking and most of the restaurants you taste around is that a little bit more thickened sauce on there. And it's going to be very sweet. Okay, that's pretty much it. We're going to turn this heat back up. You need the heat in order to get that, get the cornstarch to thicken. And it's done.
It's great. The colors are so vibrant and wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, so it is that's the signature thing about Cantonese food, right? It's the color and the freshness. Right?
Yeah, exactly. The fresh ingredients. It looks festive, definitely.
You can definitely like, how's it smell to you?
It smells really good.
Okay, so well, you can tell. Crunchy.
Mhm.
And it's done. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the other thing that I realize a lot in Chinese food. It's you're not overcooking, making vegetables mushy, so you're retaining all the, vitamins and minerals, I guess, in them.
Yeah, essentially. So I'm gonna plate this right now, and then we can decide how we wanna get it all sorted out. Okay. And everybody needs a walk in the house. Okay? Everybody needs a walk. And I think we're almost done with everything here, so I'm just going to
Yes.
add a little here. Little spring onion. Okay. That's done. Oh, we clean up. You done with this one?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
This is more for,
Okay, so we're just gonna move over. Whoa, what happened? I did miss something.
yeah, they put up on the floor.
That's how I was. Okay. So that's the egg. Okay. So we want to get the rice up here. Or plate up too. Plate up. Okay.
So are we going to flip it to make it look like a dome or something? Are we going to?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Or do we have such a,
Yeah, we can do that. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do it.
maybe we do a small one. So we
No,
can-
no, no.
we can-
I know. I know.
You're trying to serve it to us like it's in the restaurant, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's what it comes down to. And so you can see the color on that now. Where's that? When you buy a rice cooker, make sure you buy one of these.
I might before you do that because we're going to flip it. So I want to put some of this
On the bottom?
and yeah,
On the bottom?
it's not mixed with.
Yeah, I know. Just put it on
Yeah,
first.
so put some in the bottom.
Yeah, so you wanna, here, you wanna scoop it in?
A little bit is fine.
Okay. So it looks. So I guess June is trying to be fancy now, so.
So you have to like taste when you add in the soy sauce. You have to taste how salty that you want.
Yeah, because other than the soy sauce, I don't think you put any salt in the rice, right?
I think not.
No, don't need to. Again, it's sweetness, right? So the
Yeah.
sweetness that brings out, but the beauty is that the cured meat has plenty of salt in there.
Salt in it, I see.
So,
So when you
Lovely.
the restaurant probably it
it
looks
looks
like
something like
this.
this.
A dim sum place it probably look like something like this. A little bit. If I just use the egg yolk, it would be yellower. So the
Oh, it
color
will be yellower if you just use, that's fine. It's looking great.
So suppose you should mix the cilantro and the green onion into this.
You can do that too if you want to, but again, so it's just for looks more than anything else.
No, the
Okay.
taste is different. If you
Yeah,
put
yeah,
in
I
cilantro.
understand. Yeah. So anyway, that's the dish, and you want to bring that over, June? Just bring the whole tray over without the knife. Careful.
So they're asking, yeah, the chicken was kind of the extra thing for tonight, June, right? It's just gonna be like on the side.
Yeah, I'll get the chicken out here.
Tigis says this was excellent. I learned so many tips for Chinese cooking. Thank you.
You're welcome. So because it is vegetarian. So, but typical Chinese cooking, you add pieces of meat into your stir fry.
Oh, so, okay, so the original recipe did not have the chicken, but normally, typically, they do add the chicken to the stir fry, so they have it on the side, but it's for the stir fry if you want to mix it with your vegetables.
Well, yeah, so if you do want that, just it's more for looks than anything else. So, but if you do want to add the meat in the cooking, is that when just before you add the sauce in there, that's it. Just before you add the sauce, make it add the proteins, do a quick stir fry, then add the sauce that I mix. Okay, and that's pretty much it.
So I have a lot of suggestions. You might have new jobs, guys. Andrea says, you guys were great. You could have your own cooking show. And Tigist agrees. Aniela says, this was enjoying for me to watch, and the finished product looks delicious.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Next up, a trip to TNT, says Karen. Wonderful. This was great. I have to go try these, making these at home too. And I do own a wok. I'm sure everyone watching tonight probably does too. So this looks great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, June. Thank you for having us in your homes. And let me see, a few people are saying things too. I want to make sure I can pass those on to you. So I have HCT Sustainable. Wow, this looks awesome. Sorry, I came in late and show up under my company name. I'm Jutta, German. I highly appreciate that you invite you in your kitchen. Carla says thanks. Brad says looks very appetizing. So everybody loves it. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We start packing for the other family then.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. So I am going to sign off unless anybody has a question. I'm going to close off the meeting for now. Once again, we're gonna actually post the video. I have recorded this session. These videos will be available on the EIC's YouTube channel. You guys can send your friends or watch again if you missed any of the tips. So have a lovely evening, everybody, and enjoy this beautiful food. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.